stream, and I think we're doing this. I think we're doing this again. We're always.
We're live?
I think we're live.
Oh my God.
Let's get that YouTube thing up. And there's the live stream. Hello, everybody. Test. 1, 2, 3. Welcome, everybody. If you're in the
hello and welcome,
world,
I'm Chris.
I am setting this.
No, wait,
up.
this direction. This is Steve.
This video. I've got some weird shit in my ear right now. We got
this direction. This is Steve.
The live seems to be working. All right. Hey, one person's watching. That's me, I think.
It is you. It is you and me, and we're here. It's Friday. What a crazy week.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. It is a couple days from Christmas. I don't even know. It's so ridiculous how quickly this is going. But welcome back to our Friday podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. We got a few comments this week on some videos and stuff. I'm going to address those. We got the topics for today are kind of random. It's funny. Every time I jump into this, I don't know if you feel the same way. I feel like I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, no matter how much setup there is. Which, as I was just telling Steve, there's so much stuff in the background, just setting this up for YouTube, putting up the stuff on Facebook, setting up the cameras, the lights, every week trying to add a new thing. You're going to see a new thing. I got this little lower third. Watch this fancy shit. Oh, man. Hey, just reminding everybody to subscribe, click the button, and give a thumbs up, do some comments, all that silliness. I'm the worst at reminding all that stuff, and it seems so stupid, and I get frustrated when I hear people say it all the time because every channel says it, but it's really important for what we do because it's the only way. The algorithm's so weird and goofy on YouTube, and it changes all the time. So the only way we get this out to other people that might be interested in watching, I'm not trying to sell anything here, although I'm at a website with a bunch of lesson packages. But yeah, I mean, that's really the only way to do it. So if you can, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, get some comments, ask us some questions in here. We'd love to answer anything. That's the way we keep this thing rolling and moving. So anyway, this week we got a couple topics that I just threw up and thought about. It basically, a lot of this stuff turns out to be what I've been working on this week. I like to share that and then kind of see what other people are working on, see if, I know I was way into the Scott Henderson, the Fusion, all that kind of stuff. And I've kind of drifted a little. I'm still transcribing that and doing that, but I'm really into this weird 80s thing because I was so frustrated with my picking. And so right now I'm back into the Vinnie Moore thing, which I wasn't a huge Vinnie Moore fan. And we'll talk a little about this, but there's some techniques that he does that are so clean and so impressive. And I always go, man, I just wish I could do a little of that. That's probably not going to be a big staple in my playing, but there are things. And then as I go down that rabbit hole, here's a lick I want to learn. And it's part of this longer solo. And then I go, well, I learned that. Okay, cool. Now I got to learn what goes into that. And then I keep going back. That's how I do this. And we'll discuss that a little. So Vinnie Moore is going to be a topic. Tonex is going to be another topic. Trying to dial in tones. I downloaded the brown sound stuff, and I had some issues with that. Good, bad, little both, but mainly I just didn't get it to work for me. So maybe somebody has some solutions that uses Tonex more than I do. Steve, we're going to talk a little. Andy Timmons, he released a new reverb pedal that's really interesting. I did a little looking at that, and everything Andy does is fantastic. So also I did last week we talked about the is it Creep? I'm going to do that.
It was
Shake your head, buddy.
Radiohead's Creep, and you did, and I, at my behest,
yes,
I said, let's do Vito Bratta in the style of Vito Bratta soloing over Creep.
Because I was so into the Vito Bratta last week.
Yeah, and you sent me this. Like Saturday morning at like 4 your time, 7 mine, because we're 3 hours apart. And my wife and I are having coffee, and I'm like, this guy's sending me stuff, and I put it on, and I put it on for her, and we were both like both of our jaws were just like, this is freaking awesome.
Dude,
it was great. So I'm glad that we're talking about that again, because I think that was very creative and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun, and there was a reason for doing it, and it's mixed in with the whole Tonex. I'm just trying to incorporate and learn how to record, and I haven't done any recording in so long. In fact, I don't even have on this computer. It's not new, but I just never put in audio recording software because that was so far from what I've been doing lately.
Sure.
It's been more video and 3D animation and whatever. But so the only thing I really have on here is Adobe Audition, and I could not for the life of me get that to work. So I have my upstairs neighbor who's a musical director. He was a musical director for American Idol for the first few years, and he writes and does a lot of stuff for the Emmys and the Grammys. He composes and blah, blah, blah. So I knew he knew how to do this stuff. So I had him come down here, and, you know, he uses Logic and Pro Tools and all that. He's like, man, I don't know the software, but everything's, you know, pretty much the same across the board for the most. You just have to find where it is. And we could not get this to work without weird latency and all this stuff. And he told me this weird trick how to, if you don't have the really good interfaces that have zero latency and all, you're always going to have a little latency because the go digital back and forth to the headset, all this. But he taught me how to fake it and have zero latency. And it's a weird trick, but it works. And then the last thing we're going to talk about a little is the website. We had a lot of questions, and it's Steve's his responsibility. I don't know why he's not working on it. But anyway, let's talk about what's been going on in your world, Steve. I know you've had continuation of the crazy week.
Yeah. I said goodbye to a very good and special friend of mine this week, and that was definitely it was good in a way because I saw a lot of friends and a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a long time, and we all got together and kind of said goodbye to my friend Michael. And very strangely enough, and I forgot that Paul from Guitar World, the guy that does all the Guitar World demos, and he just did a great interview with Mike Keneally. If you haven't seen it, he is an old friend of my friend Mike, and so he was at the funeral and the wake, and it was really good to catch up with Paul. Paul's a great guitar player. Definitely, like he's been with Guitar World for like 30 years, and it was great to see him. And he was telling me that he just did an interview with Joe Bonamassa that's going to be coming up on the Guitar World channel, and they just did the Mike Keneally one is really, really good. I highly recommend that. If you check that one out. But it was good to see him. There was a lot of people there that I hadn't seen in some time, and then unfortunately, like a double whammy, my wife's uncle passed away yesterday. So now we're kind of back in funeral mode. It's just crazy, dude. Like, and I was telling you offline, you just never, you don't really appreciate life and humility for it until you're kind of putting people that you love to rest. And so the thing that I got out of all of this week was, and you're kind of the example of somebody that I know that's kind of taken life by the couillons there, and moving out to California to chase your dream. I mean, and going after it, like that's something that I think, in thinking it through, man, like that's a ballsy living kind of move, and I know a lot of people that don't, go their whole life without living and doing stuff. And the moral of the story is that it's a short ride, and you got to take chances, and you got to do the things that you love, and you got to love the people that you love, and stop wasting time arguing with strangers on the internet. I mean, but like, I have a lot, like I was thinking about it. I was like, when you were telling me like all these crazy stories and all these scenarios that you were getting yourself into with, your friends that were actors, and kind of you chasing your dreams, and like, that is like the perfect metaphor of living, man. And so like, take that trip to Italy, eat that meatball parm, you know what I mean? Like, everything in moderation, but life is short, and, don't sit there and, just like, I love to work out. I love to go to sleep. I might be a little too boring, but, I think like I have to kind of throw a little more, kind of just throw a little more into the wind and just kind of live a little bit more. That was really the metaphor from, my experience this week. But,
Yeah, we
it's
get
do
lost
it.
a lot of times, dude. We you know, and we get
Yeah.
these. The older we get these reminders, right? I mean, I tell everybody the stupidest my scenario that I continue to preach because it's something I think about a lot. Is we're if we're lucky to have 100 years, say 90 at most, generally.
Mhm.
The first 10, you're shitting your pants and you're learning to crawl, and you're not doing anything. You're not even a human being yet. You're just, then you get into your high school years, your middle, and you're learning about, the girls and or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, what is this all about? And then you really haven't even been outside of your town. Maybe if you're in New Jersey, you go to the city once in a while, and that's a big thing or whatever, but you haven't really explored. You don't even know the world. You know nothing about politics and how messed up the world is in so many ways. You're just locked in your bubble. So by the time you're in your 20s or so, you go into college. Now you're opening up your world. And again, you're just learning. So you haven't really even become you. So now you're in your 20s. Things get a little more serious, blah, blah, blah. But still, now at the end of the life, when you're in your 50s, 60s, you start seeing your friends pass away, your friends, your uncles, your heroes. And then those last so many years, you're dealing with what is double ARP? What is, what is all this stuff? What do I have to do? Retirement? What is that? I don't even. So now you have those middle years of 25 to maybe 60. So you have 35 solid years to really enjoy, where you think you kind of know life. You get some curveballs here or there, but man, you got to really want to stay healthy during those years, and you want to give yourself the time to explore, because you're not going to explore in your 70s and 80s as much. And
Right.
these lessons that we see when we see these people pass, they're just constant reminders of, man, we got to enjoy life. We got to stop with the silliness. And
Yep.
so if you're into guitar and you're into all these things, that's Life Lessons by Dave and Steve.
No, dude, and 1000%, man. And it's like, do the things you love. And like my wife and I were having this conversation. We've both been a little philosophical, obviously, because of the curveballs that we've been kind of sent this week. But it was like, she loves to travel, and so she went to Spain a couple of weeks ago, and I said to her, I like, me and you have reconnected, and that's something that I think is like just amazing, because we were super tight back in the 90s, and I love that we're reconnecting again. And I think the people that are important to you, you need to have them back in your life, because you think about it too, and it doesn't have to be just guitar, but like life is very strange. People get into their groove, into their life and their routine, and their spouse, their job, their kids, and you go, and next thing you know, it's 20 years later, and you've lost all that time. So I think it's also important to really have people that you can share that journey with, and you don't have to be up with them all the time, and but you definitely need to have friends that you can my friend Mike that passed away, he had a really unique way. He was very Jersey in his approach, but you need to have friends that will help you bury the body, when, you know what I mean? Like,
such a Jersey thing.
Such a Jersey thing, but he was right. And he had another thing that he would say was like, friends aren't friends when you're having the steak. They're your friends when you're, choking on the bone. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, I think all of everything, is experience and really having a passion for something. And that's I've kind of learned, like, in kind of going back after we do these podcasts, I go back the next day as you do. And I notice that we talk about this, even if we're not losing somebody in our family every week. But
Right.
I do realize that is a very, very common topic for this podcast, is passion. Because why else would you be playing guitar in your 50s for no money when you've got a day job and so many other things going on in your life? It's passion, and you have to have your passions, and you have to have those things that kind of like get you from point A to point B. And so that's a big thing.
Well, the focus too, really, if you don't self-evaluate, on so many things. I mean, we've talked about we both lost weight and everything. I mean, that started with self-evaluation and whatever, however it got us into it. And then while we're doing that journey, the only way to do it right is you have to evaluate day to day. What's working, what's not working, whether it's the food, whether it's the exercise, whether it's the rest. People don't put enough into that. So all these things. And same thing with the guitar. We literally have, like, why am I right now in such a Vinnie Moore thing? I don't want to play like Vinnie Moore. Same thing with the Jason Becker. I don't want to do, all the cacophony, sweep picking and all that. That's just not my playing. I love that jazz fusion improv where it's more subtle, the Larry Carlton, all that kind of stuff where it's a lot of touch sensitivity. It's about tone. But I'm not focusing on any of that. I'm going down this rabbit hole of all this other stuff. And I know it's because I'm still fascinated by that stuff. And I still want to have I want my mind. I think I've never been good at what all these new guys, these YouTube guys from Marcus. What's the Miller? The Miller guy.
Marcus Miller, right?
Is it Marcus Miller? He's the Jam Track Central. Tom Quayle. He does that thing, the live stuff. Yeah. Okay. So there's him, there's Tom Quayle, there's Rick Graham, there's all these guys that play so fluently, and they can play a million notes. The Guthrie Govan thing, when he really gets into it, there's a million notes, but it's not just back in the old day, it was 3 note per string, going up to another set of strings, 3 note per string, doing the same pattern, maybe offsetting the pattern a little, but it was very generic. And you hear a lot of those that's why some of the shrapnel guys I really loved, and some of them, it was just really generic. Here's an arpeggio tapping thing, and they're all doing it a little different, but it's all, and to me, the guys like the ones I was just saying, the Guthrie Govans, the Rick Grahams and the Quayle. I mean, they're playing over chord change and they're doing different things. They're playing motifs. They're going in and out. Scott Henderson was an amazing. I mean, he is the most brilliant out of all of them that does this, where he takes a motif and he will play that motif throughout all the chord changes, and he's keeping that. But he's doing different scales, he's doing different modes, and you hear the changes. He's not playing a lick, then goes to the next chord, plays another lick, or does an arpeggio that outlines perfectly a certain chord. He's working these things, and it again, it's just not generic. So when I hear all these guys doing this, and it seems like it's like shooting a machine gun, and they can think this way. The only way I can do that is by learning some of these things of players that do this. Again, so the Vinnie Moore thing, how he works over chord changes, and he actually does arpeggios that are dedicated just to those chord changes, but he's doing all these pivot note things that are weird things that I've never done. He does, there's certain arpeggio patterns that he does that he goes down 3 notes, then 3 notes, then he does a scale, then 3 notes. And you're just like, my fingers I don't know how to do that. Like I know I can do it, and that really slow, but I can't do it fast. So I'm going to show you a few things of Vinnie Moore. Actually, talking to Levi Clay last time when he was in here, I think he's out here, actually. I think I saw a post of him on Facebook or something. He's out here. I got to contact him. But anyway, so he transcribed a few Vinnie Moore things, and I'm going to show you those. And there's a couple licks in there that, like always, I start these licks. I'm like, okay, I got to learn that. And I learned that, and it's like a 30-second clip. Right? It's a 3-minute solo. It's 30 seconds. It's in the middle of the thing. And then all of a sudden I go, well, that's cool. Okay, well, how did he lead into that? So then I learn what's behind it, which I wasn't so into it. Then I start going, well, shit, that's kind of cool. And then I go, I'm just going to go to the beginning and learn the beginning of this. And then now I have half of it learned. But that's how I do with all this. All those videos I did back in the day, 10, 15 years ago with putting all the lesson stuff on YouTube here. It always started out with a lick. It always started out with something that piqued my mind. And then all of a sudden I'm learning the whole thing. And I'm like, well, now I got to teach this whole thing instead of just the lick.
Right.
But man, that helps my playing so much. And it doesn't necessarily, and again, that focus, getting back to that, I have to evaluate, why am I doing this? Am I just wasting my time? Because I go back to all these transcriptions I have of Sean Tubbs and Michael Landau, all this stuff, Michael Brecker. I have all this stuff that I don't play anymore.
Yeah.
But I spent so much time learning it. And I'm like, why did I spend all that time learning it and transcribing it if I'm not going to put it into my own playing? but there was a reason, just like this Vinnie Moore. There's a reason for it. Now, it may not all sink in, but there's a reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah, but don't you think that if you're learning it, like, see, there's a part of me, like, if I learn something, you focus on it. And then if you, I guess the hard part is, the tricky part is, you know, you could just sit there and drill this and drill this and drill this until it's like kind of osmosis, and you have it and you start implementing it into different keys. But ultimately, like, 9 out of 10 times you learn something, and then like a week later, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot how to play that already.
Right.
So
yep.
I think that that's the weird balance. I mean, if you're gonna be influenced by a line or by a lick or by a concept, you know, my approach has always been just take one thing and milk it. And that's with Vinnie Moore, especially, because like he was very, for me, he was very easy to cop because it was a very easy syncopation. It was usually 6 tuplets. It was usually groups of 6.
Right.
So, and it was very articulate. It wasn't like there was, you know, note changes. It wasn't like there was, you know, weird like dotted 8th notes and then it was groupings and stuff. Vinnie Moore was easy for me because I could just get the metronome and it was like, you know what I mean? Like, and so.
But there are subtleties that he does too that are very difficult. So I'm going to talk just a little about like when he got into the meltdown stuff, and you know, that was more blues rock based as opposed to the classical thing. But he does this thing where it's he palm mutes a lot to get some of these really great tones, and that's and at the speed that he's doing a lot of this, it's kind of hard to get that palm muting going. And so there's, but did you actually learn a lot of Vinnie Moore, or it was just kind of a you kind of, oh, you did? Oh, really?
I went through I would probably venture to say next to Paul Gilbert, I learned a lot of Vinnie Moore stuff. And
really?
I learned it. Oh yeah. I would say the Meltdown stuff as well as the Time Odyssey stuff and his instructional video. I mean, I lived that video, like to the point where I felt like I was a little bit of a clone at one point, like with the alternate picking, the way he picked. And I mean, like I was very, very into Vinnie Moore. I still love Vinnie Moore and I could still listen to him. But I think the problem with me is like if I'm, and I always base my playing, like I'll feel good about my playing is if like I take a, you know, backing track, or if I take a loop, and I'm improvising and I'm playing and I feel like I am not sounding like anybody but myself. That's when I feel the best about my playing. I'll sit there and go like, oh, I just snapped back into Vinnie Moore. I just snapped into Paul Gilbert, or there's an Alan Hines like, so right. I try to, you know, that's how I know, like, you know, like that. And if something flows, but, you know, kind of get back on topic, you know, with Vinnie Moore, he was like a massive.
That's crazy because I never really saw that in your playing that much. I mean, I saw the alternate picking and I saw some things or whatever. You weren't really a sweep arpeggio guy. You a lot of I saw a lot of Paul Gilbert in you. But you had some phrasing that was definitely outside the realm of that, but I never necessarily, because I didn't pick up the neoclassical thing at all from you. I don't remember you doing a lot of pivot note kind of things. It was a lot of 3-note per strings, a lot of
that. Yeah, it was a lot of that
kind of things.
Yep. I mean, it was, I, you know, like from my point of view, I am very much a product of my influences. So I also, in the same breath, try not to listen to guitar players as much as I used to anymore, because I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be as creative as possible. But the more I do that, I feel like the more I fall on my face. So
right.
Who knows? It's like it's a never-ending quest.
Right. So the Vinnie Moore stuff that I was looking at, let me pull up on the old screeny weenie. Again, this is let's start with this guy. This is
what do we got this week?
Green share. And let me actually make this a little smaller. Well, that sucks. I got all our faces and icons in the way. But let me see if I can. All right, maybe we won't get. If anybody wants the link to this, I'll let you know. This is a transcription Levi Clay did back maybe 8 months ago or so. It's called when the shred is so tight, in caps, there's not a note out of place. And that's another thing. Vinnie is just so clean. He's just, I mean, Paul Gilbert's clean. All these guys are, but there's something about Vinnie's articulation, and
oh my god,
it's just it's like a machine gun. But it's musical. But anyway, so the lick that I was intrigued on this was this. So it starts right here. This right here. Dude, that's just unbelievable. It's just insanity. But so for me, the problem with that I had was the let me get my little guitar thing, and let me know if this is loud, good. It's good.
Yep.
Okay. So the lick, it's really, really simple. Right. And what was cool to me is that little double pull off thing that he was doing. So he's doing, it's just really an arpeggio. And if you think of it in, it's all A minor or C major. Right. And he just sweeps up the 5th fret to the 7th fret on the G string. Then he goes up this, what looks like maybe like a D minor arpeggio from the 7th fret G string, 6th fret, 5th fret on the next strings. Then he just walks down chromatically. But he's doing this pull off where he goes, so the 8th fret to the 5th fret, then he hits that twice, then pulls that off. Then he does a single pull off from the 6th fret to the 5th. Then he hits it twice again, 6, and then a pull off. So it's a Then after he does this little pivot note, which is one of those staple thing pivot. So it's 8, 6 on the B string and pivoting off the 5th. Then he just goes up this arpeggio up here. And you can look at that as a G minor arpeggio. So he goes, but starting on the G string. So Actually, when he pivots off, he doesn't go to the 5th fret. It's 8, 6, 8, 5, 6, 5. So he goes down up the arpeggio, pulls off, goes down to the D string, then he goes back up, just 3 notes, back down. Then he goes, then he's doing patterns of 3-note arpeggios. A G arpeggio, a D arpeggio. These are minors. Then he does, then it gets a little muddy and you don't see his actual, his picking hand, like it starts fading. It does this weird transition in the video. I'll show it one more time. And actually I'll put it at a slower speed here. Because this is what I do. I always take this and I usually throw it down to 25, even 50. And right.
Although it gets really hard to decipher when it's like a 50 for me. Like 50 is still listenable. Like
Yeah, to me, I'm at a point where I can listen to it at 10% because I'm literally just hearing the new. That's where I really get those nuances. It does take, your ear has to adjust. So if you do that, you definitely can't find you. So basically, I never jump from like 100% to 10% speed, which is super muddy, whatever. And YouTube doesn't do it as well as like the app Transcribe does. So sometimes I'll download these apps, put it in Transcribe, then I'll put the looper to where it's just these 5 notes, and it'll slowly loop over and over, and I can play 1 note, 2 notes, and then it goes back, and it literally just keeps going around till I get exactly. I hear the slurs. So this.
Is it better? I mean, it must be better like when you use one of those versus like the YouTube, because for me, I can't even hear anything.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll have to find a track that's just like this is great because it's just guitar, but when I'm transcribing an actual tune or something, I almost always have to bring it in Transcribe and then mess with the EQs to get that to where it's literally just
the guitar out.
Yeah. So again, this. So right there, you don't see his right hand, and he's doing some stuff up here. He's doing some stuff like down here on this hand, and you can see it, but you can't really see what he's going to, and some of the notes are a little muffled there. So the way Levi has it transcribed is one way. The way I actually do it is I'm actually formatting. He's got it transcribed where when you go down these arpeggios, you keep hitting this E note, and then you slide up or hammer on. I'm looking at it as he's really going, instead of, I'm doing. So I go down this arpeggio, which is really the 7/7, and I hear this low C note where he doesn't have it tabbed out that way. So then I do the exact same thing he does. Now, when you're transcribing, especially when you're getting paid to do it or you're doing a long thing, you can't get lost in all these details. None of it matters. Nobody's going to hear somebody do there's hardly a difference, right? So for me, I just wanted to really see what his fingers were doing. And to me, the hardest part about this whole thing is, again, that double picking. If you get it up to tempo, that to me is because I'm going, oh, wait, is it one pull off? You know, you can do it a million. And again, does it matter if I just say I do all just one pull off? You know, it changes the sequence because there's not as many notes or whatever, but it doesn't really sound that much different than. And so the hardest part, besides getting those sequences of pull-offs, because I'm not used to that kind of thing, is that arpeggio. When he goes up the arpeggio, then he switches quickly and goes up 3 more notes, down. So up, down, back up 3 note, down, then down these 3, and these 3.
Right.
To me, switching that around, especially I like, whenever I do this, I like to get the outside string. So I'm doing an upstroke here, going down. Then before I hit this note, I do a downstroke. So it's up, pull off, up, down, because I want the outside. Then I'm going up again. So up. Then I get the outside of this, down. I'm sorry, up. So down, up, because I'm going to go back down. Then when I do these arpeggios, it's up. So it gives me a formula for doing this, which that's kind of hard, especially when you're doing it fast, to turn all these things around, right?
Yes.
But once you, again, the way I practice is I just go. And then if I'm having trouble with something, I'll go. And I'll just keep working it over and over. It sounds monotonous and boring, but when I'm watching TV or doing something, it allows me to One thing I do too is I'll do it unplugged a lot, which feels great. And man, I can get it ripping, but you're not hearing those little mistakes, open strings. You're not hearing any. Once you plug in and you start using, you start hearing all the noise, and now you have to wait. I got to move my hand this way to avoid the open strings. Maybe there's too much gain, and that's going to allow way too much noise. So there's so many hits and troubles. But so when you were doing the Vinnie Moore stuff, did you play around with arpeggios types like that, where you're going up and down, up and down?
I did as time went on. I mean, I kind of went down. I hate the term down the rabbit hole, but I definitely did, man. I followed, all the sequences, and then I got into the whole arpeggio thing that he was doing. So,
what did you find the most challenging? Because the alternate picking stuff you had.
Yeah, I think it was like the stuff that would cross you up, that was always the hardest stuff. Like if he was changing like a pattern, maybe it could have been something like a pattern change or a timing change. And that still to this day messes me up, like if I'm working on something and I hear it and it's like, whoa, that blast is like, or a time change, that is the hardest part for me. It's just like,
Well, that's why I think Henderson's the hardest thing too, because guys like that, they're doing these phrases, they're phrasing with it. Like you said, a lot of this is 16th notes. It's 6 tuplets. It's got some triplets in there, or it's got a hold a note, and then it starts a sequence of 16th notes on the upbeat or something. So, but even with that, it's really just. I mean, you can put a metronome to it, and most of this stuff is locked in. Whereas the Henderson stuff and Alan Hines and all this, they're doing a lot of these phrases, and there's phrasing in there, and now really tripping over. Now he's also doing these polyrhythm thing where the rhythm's this and he's doing 7 over 4/4, and now and it's not just 7 and things flip around, it's 7 with phrasing in it, so there's rests in between there, so now you're really pushing and pulling the beats, and that gets hard, man.
And those phrases change. It's not like they're repeating phrases. They're they're definitely, like we talked about this last week, where Alan will take a phrase and then he'll keep the genesis of the phrase, but then maybe change like a couple of notes, but it could be the timing that changes. So it's just like, man, it is just so hard to do that.
But it's so fun. That's the fun part about it, because it's a challenge, and it's you're improving, even if, again, with all these things, even if I know I'm not going to use a lot of this in my actual playing, it's getting me to be more, just have the tool set to do things. If I want to do like even the little, just this little sweep arpeggio, if I just want to do that out of an arpeggio, I could do that in any arpeggio. I could do it in, A major here. I mean, that's a sequence. I usually either run up it, you run down it, you got your little patterns, but that's a pattern I normally wouldn't do. And then he breaks into, if we do the little screen share, after this, he goes into this fast line.
Oh, David, I think I lost you.
Did I lose you?
You're back. You're back.
Yeah, I think it's having a problem picking up screen shares and all these kind of things.
Okay.
So here, we'll play it one more time. This is the part he gets into afterwards. Okay. Did you get that? Did that play?
There we go. Yeah.
Did you get the screen share part? Did that play? Oh, okay. So basically what he's doing here is, after he goes down that, he just goes into running up a C major scale. Actually, it's got a B flat in it and an E flat in it. Right. Okay. So he goes up 6 notes. Then he repeats the 3 notes on that string, and he pivots off like the Paul Gilbert thing. Right? So yeah. Then he goes up just 3 note, 3 note. Right? And again, it seems really, really simple, but most of what I'm used to is going 3 note, 3 note, You know, always keeping, or doing the 3-note, maybe 1, you know, but not going 3, 3, repeat 3 with a pivot, then 3, and then getting into that, then slowing down the phrase into that. And it's all one continuous thing. So that all of that together was really unique to me. Nothing super impressive, nothing super hard, but I really did have to do this thing where it was slow. And what I realized too, actually that goes, I think it goes to an E there. So what I realized was my picking hand had to change a lot because I was doing it really stiff. I was holding the pick and trying to get that right. So, which is fine, but you could hear how aggressive it was on the strings. So I was loosening up the pick and letting it right, and letting it do its thing. And now I'm trying to find the happy medium there, because I do realize the more I do it, I start feeling the tension in my wrist, and all these things add up to this isn't working.
Well, the thing too is when you are picking like that, a lot of it's in the same way like where Alan Hines has like that super soft picking attack, and like with his upstrokes being kind of what gives him that sound. With Vinnie, it's really like that popsicle stick in the, like the playing card and the spokes kind of articulation, like when you were a kid with the bike. It's just like, and really every single pick stroke needs to be the same. It's just like, you really have to focus on that. And I don't think like that real heavy alternate picking is the best way to go. Like when I would. Like the best alternate picker that I ever got to see was Stephen Ross, and Stephen had that same kind of picking attack as Vinnie Moore, and he was very like he would work it. I mean, you'd see his wrist moving, but he was very loose with his picking attack, and he wasn't hitting the strings like it wasn't snapping. I think like when I alternate pick, I just tend to have it snap, but I also can't pick super long runs, So I think that's also where people's individual style and your body, your own ability, everybody's going to be able to do certain things that other people can't.
Right.
Just based on your body dynamics, like I'm a lefty, so I'm going to have a better legato, then I'm going to have better alternate picking.
Are you a lefty, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I guess my point is that like, somebody may not be able to alternate pick like a very, very, like they may not be able to pick like Vinnie Moore, or, they'll pick like John Sykes. Everybody's going to have different approaches. But I think like for Vinnie, if you watch him, he's not really picking like
and everybody has their own way of doing it, right? I mean, there's you have the Marty Friedman who holds his pick upside this way or whatever. Everybody. Jason Becker kind of moves his fingers a little more, where he's got his thumb and first finger moving, and everybody's got what works for you. But the thing is, again, that self-analysis, right? You have to figure out what works for you, and and the only way to really do it, it's a long traveled road. You have to play on a dirty channel, a clean tone. Both of those have different ways of picking, because you're going to get noise and you got to mute, and also the dynamics of a clean tone. If it's not like that Fendery, really, if it's more of a Marshall clean tone, it's harsh, and you really have to, if you don't want that harsh thing, you have to pick differently. So all these things that you have to take into consideration, and you'll never. So if you go to a jam session and you don't have your amp and you're playing with somebody else's thing, and you're not getting the tone you want, I mean, that'll drive me crazy. I won't be able to do a lot of the stuff that I usually do, because sound, I hate the annoying grit of that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You don't want to be tone dependent, but unfortunately, 100% of the time you're gonna be tone dependent.
So what I'm doing now lately is I'm really trying to allow myself to not be affected by the tone. So even like this Tonex thing, which we'll talk about in a little bit, some of the tones are awful when they first start, and I get them dialed into a place, but they still sound digitally punchy. Like it's not that really smooth. Like you're not getting that push and pull from the amp as much. You are a little. It's good, but what would normally drive me crazy with that, I'm just fighting through it and saying, you know what? Instead of trying to adjust so much, I'm just going to play and pretend like it's not there, and then it starts getting better. Like there's something about it. And the other thing I noticed here's a funny tone. I see we got a few watchers or whatever. Anyway, anybody watching, please like, subscribe, give us comments. Let us know what you're thinking, what you guys are, if you want to
say hi, anything. Say whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's chat a little bit and
tell us we stink. Tell us we're boring. Tell us to get off.
And don't forget, pop up a little like, subscribe. It all helps us. I know it's stupid. Everybody, we'll get 0 watchers now because nobody wants to hear this shit, but it's important. But the thing that I learned this week with the Tonex is funny. You know how you amp a mic, you mic an amp, and it really is dependent, especially for these live things. When I was micing the amp or when you record, you're trying, you can have the mic directly center on the cone, and it gets this punchy, really brittly kind of sound. As you move it off the center and you start getting some of those warmths, but then sometimes it gets a little wolfy and bassy and you don't get enough definition. So there are sweet spots, and then you have to turn the mic a little if you do off angle, and it depends what mic you use. If you use a dynamic mic, or if you use the 57, the typical kind of thing. If you pull it off the amp by a lot, and you get a little more of the room, you can turn the amp around and just get more of that backside and mix it with another mic. All these things. Anyway, what I never thought about is when I'm playing with this Tonex thing, with my headphones and everything, it sounds a certain way. But if I pull my headphones off my ear just a little, it totally warms everything up, and it gets it a little so it's not banging my eardrums so much. Even if you turn the volume down, that's not the same as pulling these headphones off just a little, or pulling them off like you start literally. It's like moving a microphone.
Yeah.
And dude,
well, everything is position. Everything is relative to where you are, to the sound, to whatever that's whatever that sound. Whether that's an amp or whether that's headphones, it's really, where you are in context to that. And that's what's going to sound good. Like if I am playing at home, I tend to play like in the back of an amp because I like the way the amp sounds. I don't like, it's like I'll turn an amp and I'll face it to the wall.
Yep.
Just because
I want it direct in my face.
Yeah.
And so what you can, there's 2 avenues, like with this whole Tonex thing or those amps. You can try and dial in that tone, right? Because it's facing you straight on, or you could turn the amp. Well, the same thing here. I'm pulling these speakers off just a little bit off my ear so it doesn't sound as harsh, and it's giving me less of the trebles. Now I can go in and change the trebles and have it direct to my ears, but it's still not going to be the same. So even with the Tonex, we'll get to the Tonex because that's a whole rabbit hole I went down this week with downloading the Brown Sound stuff and really trying to get these things dialed in. And I noticed the biggest thing, I dial in the tone. There was a system. I'm finally in an area where I have a system for it. So I dial in the normal sound. If I like something's generally in the general area, I'll dial it in, start doing the trebles and the bass and all that, and then doing a little depth and blah, blah, blah. And then when I get it somewhere where it's still not great, I'll add a little reverb or delay or whatever, just to get it softer and it does its thing or whatever. But then I go through the speaker cabinets. I'll go through 212s, 110s, 412s, and then there's a million different ones. And each one of those, I'll find one that's, okay, this one actually works really well. But now it's changed everything. So now I have to go back into the EQ settings and change it to that speaker cabinet. Yep. And that's how I really get this. And I'm pulling a ton of trebles off. I'm pulling because my ears don't like those harsh things. So even the presence, the treble, man, I am dialing stuff. And literally it'll take me 45 minutes to dial in a tone.
Let me give you some advice too, what I would recommend that you do with this. Because you're going to switch guitars and you're going to be like, oh, this sounds awful.
Right.
When you get a preset that you like, when you finally have it locked in, save the preset. So what I'll do is I will write like Charvel, tone knob halfway down, like just something in there So that way, when I'm going through everything, I could sit there. So I have like, half a dozen for each guitar that I do.
And do you export those presets or you save them?
I save them into the Tonex, but yeah, I mean, I back them up. That's the only exporting I really do. But I've never like uploaded anything that I've created as far as presets go, because everybody could do that. But the other thing I also have with my Tonex that I've added is I have a Timmy pedal, and I put the Timmy pedal right before the power amp into the Katana, so it will act, obviously. Then it'll act as a boost, as a gain. If I want a little more dirt on it, or if I want to kind of dial it in a little bit further. 95% of the time, I never touch it. I leave it at the same.
Right.
The only thing I really touch will be the tone on the external pedal. Just the tone and the gain, depending on just kind of what I want out of it. So, but I would say
let's get ahead of ourselves. We're going to get back to this Tonex thing. Let me just finish up this Vinnie Moore thing real quick. So the other thing that I was going into was again another transcription by the great. I was going to say the great late. That'd be awful. The great Levi Clay transcribed this thing called The Greatest Shredders of the 80s. Check this guy out. It was about 3 years ago or so. And this is basically the beginning of the REH video. And I don't know about you, but so many times, like there's stuff that Paul Gilbert does that, all these guys put out these REH videos back in the day. And what I wanted transcribed in those little tiny transcription books were all the stuff they didn't transcribe. So like the beginning intros of these things, I was like, what? That was so cool. And then now you go into the lesson is just learning this lick or this scale. And you're like, I mean, that's cool and everything. But then there were also parts, I forget what video it was, but there was one REH video. It might have been I think it was the Henderson one. And there were parts where he was, the first video I think was all modes and playing this scale over this, then moving it up a half step and getting all these Lydian sounds and blah, blah. And it was great, but there weren't anything. I mean, it was school. It was not licks. It was, there were some in there, but then there was sometimes when he'd show an example and or maybe it was the Holdsworth one. There was some where they transcribed some of what he played, but it was always, there was a clicker down, a timer thing, like 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, now the transcription starts now. And everything he was playing up to that point was awesome. And then when he got into that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And it was the lamest, easiest 16th note kind of stuff. All the phrasing had dropped out. And I'm like, and I understand it was probably because the other stuff was really hard to transcribe. And for time and money, well, let's just transcribe this stuff. So when Levi transcribed this, I remember when he did it a couple years ago or whatever, I was so like, okay, I got to learn this. And now the beginning of it's so cool. And I didn't, the part that got me back into this part, learning this Vinnie Moore thing was later on. And I'll show you again, that discussion of how I'll learn an idea, something that really pokes out. And then I'll start going back. And then eventually I got to learn the beginning. So then I got into the beginning of this, and the beginning is actually more interesting than I thought it was. But this is, let's see if let me know if you can hear this. This is the part that got me.
Yeah.
So that one pivot note part really stuck out to me. It was right here, I think.
Yeah.
It's just so slick because he's doing this pivot thing, and then he does a little thing, then he does more pivot thing, and then he gets into the fast picking, and it's like switching different techniques at different times. And then, so the beginning of it, even though I was into it, it was the phrasing.
Yes.
So that whole part is pivot notes and a little bit of arpeggio stuff, and then he gets into another part here where he does this whammy bar thing. He's kind of doing that just getting some vocal-esque kind of thing with the note. And a little gets back into that thing, pivot. Down a scale, then he goes back up things, but whatever. But that whole beginning, again, if I get it up here, the one thing that even that little tiny phrase, right? Again, the subtleties I like. If you notice, and even if you look at the transcription, it's not just 16th notes. There's a dotted 8th note there with a 16th note, and there's when he gets that 12th fret, he goes. He holds that note before he hits it again and adds some vibrato. So he goes, and it's not even strictly on the timing. Like you could see, it's just slightly off when you slow it down. And actually, and I'll do that real quick. If I slow this down to 50%. It's just so beautifully. And he gets into that thing, so it's. And I forget how I can't see the tab. My eyes are terrible. But the if you notice everything that's going on there, first he's got this little phrasing. Nice vibrato. Then he's got the just pivot notes right off of this D note. Yeah. Then he goes up a small arpeggio. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's all you need right there.
Right. Yep. I mean, you can incorporate just that littleness.
Done.
Yep.
You're done.
Yep.
That's totally all you need. Those two sequences right there. That vibrato and then that first pivot. Yep. That's all you need, and that's all you work on. You don't need to work on any of that. That's why I'm saying, like, and the other thing I want to say is, like, how awesome is YouTube and Levi? I mean, like,
totally, dude.
Just, I want to hug Levi, although I don't think he'd want to be hugged. But
I think he might wrap his arms around you. He might give you a pat. But the funny thing is,
guy, so, yeah,
right? So the even taking that phrase, like you said, that right, take it in melodic minor down here and go, but you have that, you have just that very, very beginning. Then you can do a pivot note, and I'm just using melodic minor because that's a little outside the realm of, you know, pentatonic or whatever. So you have. Right. I mean, it's just silly, but in that I'm incorporating the phrase at the beginning and then a pivot note thing. You could do it in pentatonic, right? You have right, same exact thing. Nobody would ever know you took that from a Vinnie Moore thing, right? But that's how you start incorporating this. But I love after that he goes into a little arpeggio. Little gets up the arpeggio to break out. So basically the way I think of a lot of this stuff is you have close notes and you have far notes, right? A scale is close. Everything's one after another. Even if you're doing, you know, you can get it, you know, you have, say you take a C major scale. That's just all in one note after another, very close. Right? Or you can do opposite notes where you start going. Now, that's still one note real close to another. Now you could break it into arpeggio. Now you have the notes are becoming more spread out. Now you could do some weird octave displacement. Right? Now you're really starting to open up that thing. It's not just, you could have chromatic notes in between. right? Now the notes become even closer. So in this, I see it as he's doing something where it's very melodic. Then he's got the pivot note, which opens it up. Then he does an arpeggio, which spreads it out. Then he starts doing this idea where, right? You know, you're still pivoting off a note, but you're going from a high note to low note. So instead of going, you got, then he changes the pattern around completely and starts going, so he goes, he incorporates that pivot again. Then he goes, that's a totally different pattern. So he's doing like 4 different things in a row. And that pattern most people know as that whole thing. Right? I mean, that's a typical thing. But he doesn't do it that way. He doesn't do... He goes... he doesn't pull off on that, right?
Right.
So that's a different way I usually... Anytime I play those 4 notes, I never... I never do that kind of sequence. I see we got some comments. Craig, 1972. I love when people have names that have number. Greetings from New Zealand. New Zealand. What time is it in New Zealand right now?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure that out.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's got to be. I mean, like, so is it
like
Saturday or
7, right? It's like 2 years ahead over there, right? Like Monday.
It's funny. Hey, Craig, thank you for visiting, and let us know if you got anything you want to hear or see. We're talking about the Vinnie Moore stuff right now, and we're just going through this one little quick video that I was learning this week. And so this pattern, real quick, that very beginning. Then he goes, even that little turnaround there where he goes, he's basically doing these 2 notes, the 12th fret of the D string, 8th fret, 12, 10, 10 on the G string. Then he takes that shape, moves it down a whole step. So he's pivoting. And then he lands on this note. He does a hammer on, then a single note. So it's... Which I would normally do just a total hammer on and pull off, but he does it, and you can hear this articulation, and that's a cool little pattern. And then it gets him into the next part of it or whatever. So then he goes through this whole thing. Then that's where he gets into the whammy bar. Then he goes, even that, Levi has it tabbed out to where it's just this note hammering on 3 to 4, right? Well, you can actually hear he brings that bar down. And you get that hammer on there. And he does that a few times in this sequence. But that little bar action makes that a simple phrase so much... And you have to worry about muting so you don't get all these strings going on, right? So even this sequence, he climbs up. And then so that whole section, though, again, the legato, if you hear what he's doing, let me get to the screen share. This is the bar. Now he does that legato. But that whole legato part too is he's going up this. Now he goes up all notes. He goes, but then he goes to the top. He skips a note and comes down. Here he pulls off and goes up.
Right.
So it's not going up and down. It's got a. Then he goes down, back up. Then he gets back into that bar thing. Does an arpeggio, another arpeggio. Now when he walks up, there's 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, the 5, 6, 8, and 10. Well, funny enough, I would go 5, 6, 8 and move my pinky up here. If you watch what his hand does, he goes 1 finger per note. 5, second finger on 6, third finger, weird long whole step stretch between second and third. Nobody likes doing that. And then that's 8, and then the pinky goes here on 10. Again, if you put them all down and keep them down, it's really awkward. So what he does, once he gets to this third, he kind of lifts the finger, right? Gets him here, then he does the pivot note thing. Then he goes up a scale. Well, actually, a scale, then an arpeggio. Then he does that 4-note thing again, and another pivot. And it's that twist and turn between, I mean, this is all scales. It's mostly 16th notes, some sextuplets, but doing these patterns that are twisting and turning. Then he's going up a scale, then he's pivoting note again, but then it's almost like a motif, right? It's a pivot note, then a pivot note, then a scale, scale. Those are your motifs, not the, right. So when he goes up this and he goes, now you could think of, okay, the motif is again, go up a scale, back to the arpeggio or the pivot note. So it's just, to me, that's so much to devour. And that's just the beginning section. When he gets into that one real cool part that really, really drug me in, which is here. Let me put it up to tempo and speed. I got to get my screen out of the way. All right, so this is at tempo, and I'll stop it when we get to that real cool part. And I'm going to stop real quick. So he does one weird thing in this whole thing. As he's going up that pivot note stuff and the scales, right there, all of that. When he's pivoting off of that, get to this. He goes, then he goes down here and he does this string skip pivot. Goes down the scale again, but that is 2 notes on 1 string, so it's basically 8, 10 on the G string. Then he skips to basically a 7th interval, which is the 11th fret on the E string. Then he goes down, he does the same thing, and now that's another 7th interval, right? Then he gets into a 6th note, pivoting off of this. So he's got pivoting going on, but now it's a skipping string pivot, which is, again, it's that close note pivot to a skipping. So now it's opening up your ear. And that's why this just all sounds so different as opposed to it's just scales and arpeggio, because that's what it essentially is. All right, we're almost at that spot. Dude, and at the tempo he does that,
it's crazy.
It's insanity, right? So that part, which is really cool, after he gets to this, he goes up a scale. How does he get into that? Just look at the tab. Thank you, Levi Clay, for the tab. here. There it is. Yeah, that's it. All right. Right. So he does this little pivot thing where he goes. Then he goes up that arpeggio shape again, just like when he was doing that one pattern down here. He does that minor arpeggio. That was the first thing we talked about. Well, he's doing it again here where he does. Now there's that minor arpeggio, right? But he does. And he does that bounce off and up and down a couple notes. But then he gets into this pivoting. Right? He's pivoting off of a low note instead of a high note. Then he moves up. Then up again. And instead of going to the note here, he bends that note. So he says. Then he gets into the arpeggio. That part, what was so cool to me is, again, he does the pivot thing, then he does a thing in between, and then more pivots to continue up, and then he bends, and then he does something totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing, dude. So let me just try that real quick. So how do I forget? Oh. Anyway, so to me, the hardest part was the picking, because again, he's doing all alternate picking, and he's really to get that to sound right. You really have to get, this is aggressive picking. It's outside picking. Like he's really going for it. Where I can't do that fast. I cannot get my pick hand to do that. So I have to use my chicken picking. I have to go. I'm using pick and middle finger. Then I use pick. And actually, that part, I think I actually can get the pick. Because that outside string allows me more leeway to get down here and pick, whereas the inside strings, I have to be more accurate, and that's where I start getting noise. So that's where I choose to use this. And again, those cool little bends where he gets... And then he just lets it sail down. Dude, that to me is just genius.
It is, yeah, for sure.
It really is.
Really, I mean, it's just, and it's not a lot of concepts. I mean, it's just, but it's like he just goes from one thing to the next, and it's seamless.
Yeah. I see we have a comment by Angelo.
We have a couple comments. Yep.
And he says wasn't really into the style of playing. Once in a while, I would do the whole fast thing just to show the kids old hands can do that. That's fun. Yeah, always showing off, right? Listen, this guy's a show off. Thank you for the comment. You've got a number 3 crown. I don't know what the hell these crowns mean, but try and bump that up to number 1, would you? Subscribe, like. I'm gonna look at this. Look at this little fancy thing.
I think the crown has something to do with like the place of like the comment.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm learning all this. Anyway, Angela, thank you so much for that comment. So the funny thing is, I'm the same, as I was saying. I'm not huge into this kind of, like, I like listening to it, but it's not something that's always on my listening when I go for a walk or whatever. But playing wise, I learn more from this stuff than I do a lot of the other stuff. And it's a technique that I want to have, because when I do the Scott Henderson stuff, and I always mention him just because he's my holy grail guy or whatever, but when I do the Guthrie Govan or any of these things that have a lot more phrasing, to me, it simplifies what I'm trying to do with them because I have this that I can access. Same thing with when I do learn weird phrases from all those other guys, Henderson, all that, it allows me to improvise totally different and better because you just get it under your fingers in your ears. Now, I may never ever use these arpeggio things, but like you're saying with the impressing the kids, sometimes you're like, I don't even know what to play. Man, I'm gonna just do. I mean, if I open with that, somebody's gonna go, "Oh, what's this? Okay, that's a good vibrato."
It's gonna catch people's like ears just because of that line.
Yeah, but then, like I said, if you take this stuff, these concepts, and put them into anything else, you put it into, as I was saying, that melodic minor. We'll do it up. We'll do. There's some weird scale where you get a little vibrato in there, or whatever. I mean, you start experiencing. Then the pivot note on that. That was just weird nonsense, but you see how that technique can quickly be thrown into your own playing. Take any scale, do it over a progression where you're going through one or two chords, and try and really nail those scales or arpeggios, but with those pivoting notes or whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah. We have Vinnie or Pete Paccio. Is that your buddy?
Yeah, it's Pete. That's our buddy Pete.
I don't think I've ever met Pete. You've talked about him. Pete, I hope you're doing well. I hope your holiday season's doing all right. Better than all right. And he said, Vinny adding credit articulation, neoclassical, D Miola. Yeah, that's another one. D Miola, man. I just never got into it because it was a lot of, until I got older. Then I started going, wait a second, I sort of get this. There's something there. But that articulation, that's the thing. It's not just picking. You'll hear in everything he does, he lightens up on the picking. He has, there's something about, especially Vinnie Moore, that he has something special in his playing. Anyway, so that's my Vinnie Moore lesson. Let's real quick talk about if you're okay with switching.
Oh yeah, no, I'm totally good with that. That was fun.
So Andy Timmons has got a new pedal. I'll share the screen with this, and while I put things away, I'll let you guys see this.
I saw this morning. I knew he was. I saw it on his Instagram.
Andy Timmons
he was dropping some new music, and a new piece of gear.
Oh, he was doing new music.
He was doing something new today, like a new tune, and.
Interesting.
Yeah. I saw that. So
speaking of on a sidetrack for Paul Gilbert, did he release his new album yet? That rock.
His the Washington's Rules.
Yeah, so he released a song, and I think the album's coming. Maybe it's coming in January. Maybe
I think the release date's January 28th, I believe.
Okay, and you know who's playing on that with him? Doug Rappaport. Brilliant dude. So he's been posting some things on his Facebook too. Anybody watching, check out Doug Rappaport if you don't know who he is. Brilliant player. He toured with who did he tour with? Edgar Winter, and he was a GIT guy and brilliant, super nice guy. He's got a lot of stuff. He went to NAMM, and you'd always see clips of him. Anyway, so this Andy Timmons thing. So this is his little beginning of his promo for this new Keeley reverb pedal. Everybody knows his Halo pedal, which is absolutely insane. It's one of those things that you're like, do I need another? I've got the H90 delay. I got the timeline. I've got a whole bunch of. I've got this Echo Rec delay. So you think I can cover everything. And no matter what I do, and I've seen on forums, I cannot get that Andy Timmons Halo delay. There's just something special about how
it's the pedal. Yeah. I have that Halo pedal, and it's just awesome.
Yeah. And everybody says the same. So now he comes out with this reverb, and here's let me put my guitar down. You guys can watch this for a second.
Hey everybody, Andy Timmons here, and I'm super excited to be working with Sweetwater on the release of my new Keeley Electronics pedal called the Nocturne.
That just sounds beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
So the Nocturne is indeed a reverb pedal, and crazily enough, I've never been a reverb guy.
So he goes into talking about that the reverb he usually gets his reverb from delays, which if people don't realize, if you get multiple delays piled on top of each other, you get them pinging and ponging and stuff. You start opening it becomes a room thing, and basically reverb is essentially room. You have the plate reverbs, you have room reverbs, you have digitals. And if you don't know, like the digitals, I'm not a fan. Like even with this Tonex stuff, I don't think I ever use the digital, just because generally my understanding of digital reverbs are the repeats are exactly the same every time. Sometimes you can change that or whatever, but literally whatever you play, when it repeats that or open, it's same thing with delay. You literally, it's the repeat of it. The room, and depending if it's a small room or a large room, you get harsher, but you end up getting tape delays and stuff like that. You end up getting degeneration. So the tone and the warbleness and everything starts changing with each repeat. So so for him, he uses the delay as kind of a reverb, and that just it's very subtle, and it opens it up. Well, now this reverb pedal, instead of having the fighting between two pongs or delay actually things, this is a true reverb. And dude, of anybody, Andy makes all this stuff sound gorgeous.
Right. My only this was the one thing, is I watched some of these videos today, and I was like, oh, I don't need this pedal. If it comes,
I know, I go through the same thing.
Okay, I don't need this pedal. If it comes up used at Guitar Center down the road, I will buy it. Like that's how I get into these pedals.
Right.
Because to me, the reverb pedal is like, I don't know. I don't feel like that's a pedal that I am gonna go down and buy. Like unless it's used. Because
so on your board, on your board, or when you're playing with pedals, if you had to have one, like chorus, tremolo, reverb, anything like that, delay, not talking gain or distortion, what would you what was something that you would need?
Well, as far as my delay, up until, see, again, the delay thing is, I don't use a delay like the way Andy would use the Halo. I would use the delay more in like an Eric Johnson type of a way, or a Bonamassa, the way that they use a delay as a reverb. So I would, in that case, it's a Boss DD3.
Okay.
100% of the time.
So you would, tremolos and choruses, those are off the grid. You're not really getting into those too much.
I had a bunch of chorus pedals and I sold them, because I was just like, I had a DLS chorus, which was amazing.
What is DLS?
It was just a brand, like a boutique brand, and the thing was just beautiful. I actually still have. You remember John Cascia? He built Phil X some stuff.
I don't.
He built that like the Tone Monster amp that Phil X.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So John Cascia was the amp builder of that.
Okay.
He built a chime. He called it the chime chorus pedal, and it's not really good for like it's not an MXR type of chorus. It's really a very like a very jangly. It makes it sound like a 12-string guitar, and kind of like adds this like really nice kind of chorusy sound. I have that, and that's kind of where I live these days, because I really like that picky. Like I don't want like the airplane flange chorus, like and I'm not going to say anything negative, because I love all that stuff, but it's just never like, I'm not doing like the Eddie Van Halen flange, chorus whirls and stuff. It's just it's not happening in my world.
Right. Well, so for me, I literally have to have, reverb. Even in the Tonex settings, there is not one setting I put on there without reverb, even if it's just subtle. Everything for me to have, like, for my perfect situation is a wet dry wet situation, or even a wet dry, whatever, stereo wet dry. I need that softness. I need the room. When I play, that's why I hated Marshalls for years. I could not play straight in my face kind of thing. And that's why turning the amp around gives me a little of that softness. And if I'm playing in a room, it's bouncing off the walls, so I'm getting a let. So I don't necessarily need a reverb pedal all the time, depending what I'm playing in. But generally, like even with the Tonex stuff, the first thing I'm turning on is the reverb. I get my general sounds and I turn on that reverb. The delay, I really like it. I think it's more in theory and in my mind because it's like a security blanket. You know, you have a little, it gives you a little more. And so on those notes that you miss or the in-betweens or whatever, something's happening. It just doesn't stop. Where if you don't have anything and you don't have reverb, I mean, it's just stopping. So any mistake and blick you make, you know,
yeah, you're done.
Yeah, so I need those safety blankets. But then even what I found out with this clean tone that I did, maybe I'll do when we talk to Tonex a little bit. I don't usually use chorus, but I do like it. It gets in the way if I'm playing most things, but if I'm playing a beautiful chord melody thing, I like it.
See,
but
that's where I like a great chorus is for like that kind of stuff, for jazzy, like chord melody, like very chordal kind of playing. And then that's probably where I like a little bit more kind of just past the point of breakup kind of sound. I think that's what sounds great with a chorus. I just don't need like the full on chorus these days. Like it's overkill for what I need.
Yeah. So here's funny enough. So when I got into this clean tone thing, let me see if I can find the bank or what it is. I think it's this one. So the cool thing about this was, again, this is the Tonex pedal, and I really dove deep into it, and we'll get it into that in a second after we finish this Andy Timmons the Timmons thing. But the clean tone, I couldn't find a good clean tone on the. It was just very digitally and very punchy. So what I did was okay, let me get this turned on. I found I think this is the Fender Deluxe 65 patch, and get the how did that song go? Right, but it's just so beautiful and lush. Right, I love, and it's kind of like what's his name, Michael Landau, that kind of thing.
It's a very Landau-y. It
old
almost
80s
is
rack mount.
Yeah. You gotta send me that preset.
Yeah, I will. And so what the secret sauce on this one was to me, even plays single notes well. You know, even the poppiness, and it's not too. So the trebles, I think the treble might even be off on this or whatever, and I have a little presence, or the opposite. But what the secret was to me of getting this little even the chord thing, the melody, right? You got. I don't know. So that's
was that a Tuck and Patty?
Yeah, Tuck and Drace, dude. I love when he did that thing, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That whole thing, I learned that a long time. In fact, I did that in a guitar competition one time. I broke out half of that, and that was when I heard in the crowd, like you know, everybody standing there like this, and there was this guitar competition in Florida when everybody was doing the best guitarist in Los Angeles, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so I went down there, and I had no job. I had just finished music school, and I don't know, I may have told this story or whatever, but anyway, I get down there and I had nothing to do for 4 weeks, and it was actually a 5-week competition every week, and then it goes into the 5th week, and I kept advancing to the next one, but I had a whole week to compose and get things in the same key, and all these other people were getting up there just shredding, and there was a bass player, he was a Shrapnel guy, he was one of the judges, the guys from that Molly Hatchet, one of those guys was, and I started playing with them later on because of that competition.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up winning this competition, but it was so funny because I had all this, and I was not the best guitar player. There were 3 guys that were amazing players, but they just didn't compose, whatever. So I do this whole thing, and everybody's standing there, arms crossed, nobody's whatever. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the crowd, I break into that, and I hear a girl goes, "Oh my God, that's Somewhere Over the Rainbow." And I pulled somebody in. I got a listener.
Yeah.
But the secret to this tone is that there's a little tremolo on it, just a little on the tail end. And I think I maybe even put it pre instead of post. So I have a chorus, I have delay, but it's a real slight delay. So you don't really even hear. It's just maybe a slap back, maybe 2 generations. That's it. But there's when you hold it, you get that tremolo, and the tremolo is what keeps that ringing because it's constantly spinning and opening up. Dude, it is beautiful.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, it's coming across too. I mean, it's very lush sounding. You did a good job. Thanks, you know, because again, I mean, the thing that's great about the Tonex is that it gives you, I think it gives you just enough. Like I never understand like when people are, you know, it's like 4 banks and people get all pissed off, or you know, it's the same thing with the new Fractal that came out. You know, again, everybody's saying, "Oh, 4 banks." It's like, dude, 4 banks? What are you, crazy? I would take like an amp and a delay or a reverb. And run with that, you know.
Well, even this Tonex, I have so many. So I have 3. They come in 3 patches, right? They have like 50 banks, and then there's 3 patches, and there's 3 buttons on the pedal, and you have whatever. So each, I think I have 3 patches of 3 dialed in. I'm really, and 2 of them are gain stages, and the last third of those 3 are clean tones. And man, each one took me about 40 minutes to dial everything in. Because again, I'll go through that when we talk about more about this stuff. It really, I go in a circle. I get it dialed in, choose the cab, go back, dial in, then, and like you're saying with the different guitar, it really depends what guitar you're playing. And I'm looking for on that clean tone. There are some that I just want for the chords. Same thing, even with the gain. I want just chord playing. Then when I go to the lead stuff, it doesn't sound as good. And I'm not a pedal stomper, but I realize I'm fighting a battle trying to find a tone that works both with the lead, all the pickups, and the rhythm. So I have to have those banks, but I notice that I'm not switching between these. With the clean thing, there are some that I want that lush and I want delay. But if I'm playing single note and I have all that delay on there, it's just not going to work. You know? It looks like we got a comment from Sandman. Fall asleep. Oh, sleep sounds delicious.
It sounds so good.
So he's that's a great top on the EVH. Yeah, this EVH, I'll even put it towards camera even more. So the EVH is, I've got like 5 or 6 of these things, and dude, this is just a special. Wolfgang special, and I wish they colored the tops. That's the only thing. I just wish that was the same color. It wasn't just the wood grain or whatever. But these things, let me see if I can get it off of the yeah, it really comes through.
That's a purple, right, Dave?
Yeah, it's like a purpley, and it's a quilt, not quilt, what do you call it? Flamed. But yeah, and I want to change out the pick. I love the pickups, but I definitely want to get the zebra stripe. I think that would look really cool in here. But this is, I love the pickups.
What do they have in those?
I think it's a JB and a Wolfgang. I think, and then it's got the detune in. I love the gold hardware. You really can't tell it, whatever, but the gold hardware just looks fantastic on this. And yeah, this is I think this is the one I'm taking home for the holiday, just because it's got a roasted neck, and I don't know if you could see that pattern's beautiful, right? But it's so solid. I mean, this thing doesn't, here it gets a little cold sometimes, and not like you, but man, this does not move at all. It is just solid.
Yeah, it's beautiful back too.
But yeah, let us sand before you go to sleep. Let us know. You have Wolfman. I have two. Oh, you have two of those.
Yeah, he just wrote it. Yes,
there you go. One is older Japanese made. One, oh, interesting. Like older. I didn't know they made Japanese. I know they make the new ones, the white and black one, and those are MIJs made in Japan. The new one is a matte black special. Great guitars. So I have my. Yeah, I have a matte black. In fact, I'll let me show you that. Steve, keep talking. You do your thing.
Now I gotta tap dance like a monkey here while Dave goes and gets his guitars. Come on here. Let's see what's he gonna bring back here from. Is he now? I got a first thing I want to ask him when he comes back here. Let's see. Where does he come from? I'm gonna ask him where his guitar is. Like what room is it? Oh, it's in the back there. Okay.
What is that?
Oh, see, wasn't that? I was gonna say, like, were you gonna go into like some hidden like closet there?
Actually, I have one of the white made in Japan ones that I'm selling. I'm not locking into the neck. The neck's a little thin, and that is in a case. I was gonna show that one too. I really love it, but because it has the square inlays and it's got the kill switch, and it's beautiful. And it plays well, and the pickups are they're different. They're all different. I'm sure. Sandman knows man. I go through Fender and EVH have the worst QC in the world. I mean, at least of the last 5-6 years. And literally, I would have to buy, especially that purple one. I bought 3 of them. My striped ones, again, did the same thing. Bought 3 of them. The white, I have a white striped one that's hanging on the wall. I don't know if you can see it. But that was the only one I picked up in store, and it actually, the minute I picked it up, I said, dude, this neck, it resonates. The wood, the neck was perfect. It got a little thicker down here. It was a real true 70s kind of neck, and it just felt, that was the only one that stays in tune. Everything was perfect off the rack. Everything else, I'd buy 2 or 3. And sometimes I return all 3 because they just, either the pickups were uneven in hotness and whatever, or they were muddy. The necks weren't stable. There's my red EVH. I bought 3 of those before anybody got them at the NAMM show. And then COVID hit and nobody can get them. And I had it for 2 years before anybody had, a bunch of them. And the first one I got, thank God I was able to get a second one. When I pulled the neck with literally one finger, the whole neck would bend. It was so loose and unstable, and then everything was it was just the neck wood. It wasn't true quarter sawn, so it literally just had the ability to bend. So anytime you put a little pressure on chords or anything, it would whack out of tune. But this black one, it's amazing. I found this, again, it was in the used section at Guitar Center. I put in this little detuner or whatever, but it's got so many scrapes. It's beat the hell in the corner there. I don't have my camera to focus.
I can see it. Yeah.
But that edge is all beat to hell. The back of this, I got some, but it is, I thought there were more marks on. This neck is a little more baseball bat thick. And this, again, is a super solid. It resonates like crazy. And this one was, I mean, it's only a standard. It's almost better than some of my specials. It was, I think I got it for $350. A $350 guitar that feels and plays great, and the pickups are really good. How the hell do you beat that?
Nah, we're spoiled, man.
We really are.
I was going to say, we got another comment. Just
Sandman, let me so that older Japanese made, I don't need this because I don't need to go down the rabbit hole, but that's interesting to me. What older Japanese one do you have? What color is it? And is it not the MIJs that came out the last few years, the white, and then also the black one that have the kill switches on it? Because I wasn't familiar with that. And then Menaheim one, beautiful guitar. Thank you. Appreciate that. I do. Yeah. In fact, so I have an Ernie Ball too that I could show that I played at one point. That the top is it's a quilt, and it's beautiful, but it's not. And even it has that flamed roasted neck or whatever, and it's really cool. It's just great, and it feels great. That's one of my favorite guitars. But the funny thing is, I bought 2 others after I bought this one. I was like, man, this is great. But there was something about it. And yeah, I have to grab that one. I'm sorry. Steve, you talk.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Dave. I got the music ready.
Dude, I miss Benny Hill. Honestly, come on, man.
I put that on because I want to watch this back, and I'm going to crack up with you going and running and getting your guitar.
That is so funny. If anybody knows who Benny Hill is, give us a thumbs up. By the way, anybody watching this, please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Appreciate you all being here on Friday night. But yes, that's subscribing. It's so stupid or whatever, but it really does help this channel and people and whatever. And the like, really, the click up and all that kind of stuff helps. So this, and I do get distracted, as you see. We got so much we're talking about, but I love this stuff as an art piece and as a playing thing and whatever. So anybody that wants to see guitars, I'd love to see everybody else's sharing. I love this stuff. So this has a beautiful, right? It's really nice finish, a quilted top or whatever. It's kind of blue. It's like a light blue. It's turning greenish or whatever. I had it for quite a while, but the neck again has that roasted.
Dave, that's not the same guitar that you bought. Remember that guitar shop in Willowbrook Mall?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. In fact,
wasn't that you bought it? That was an Ernie Ball, though, right? Wasn't that, or was it one of the
Oh
TVs?
my God, dude, I had that. So that was the original Music Man, the gold. Yeah, dude. Now that I wish I was
with you when you bought it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, we got to. I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was upstairs in Willowbrook Mall in New Jersey. I was with you when you bought it.
And not the store down the street from it.
No, but
there was a store in Willowbrook Mall.
Yes. Yeah, you bought the guitar there.
Wow, I don't remember that at all. This is a flashback from the past, because that was those guitars now go for $15,000. That's the original. Amazing. But I never melded with that. There was something about it. At the time, I wasn't. These aren't short scale guitars, but they seem shorter because the headstocks are shorter. But there was something about the body and everything, and the neck was thicker, and I wasn't into thicker necks at that time. So I just didn't get on with it. I didn't play a lot. At a certain point, years after years, I was like, I don't play this anymore. I'm going to sell. In fact, it was a point, I think I moved out here and started doing the silly acting shit, and I hadn't played guitar, I think, in 5 years. There was a period in life where I stepped away. And I think at that point, I just sold it. I wish I never had. But anyway, this is amazing because, again, I was not in the market for an Ernie Ball. I didn't need to spend this kind of money on this guitar. But when I picked it up, another guitar was coming in. The guy goes upstairs. I pick this up and I go, holy, what am I missing here? And this thing feels and sounds. This is my probably number 1 or number 2 guitar at this point. The problem is I didn't. So I bought this. I bought 2 others exactly like this. I bought a flamed one and then another quilted one, exactly same colors. And the other one, the flaming on this and the back of the neck, you could see this is nice. Is that a mark there? What is that? Did I break my guitar? So the other one was beautiful, like gorgeous. Like I couldn't stop looking at it. Right. But it just the pickups did not sound as good. They were a little muddy, so they were different wound. This one, what I didn't realize until I started setting it up a little bit, plays great, sounds great, everything is awesome on this guitar. But what I didn't realize, and you may not be able to see, I almost pulled out my speakers, but that pickup. So you can see, I'm trying to get it straight. Look at the bridge being straight, and the pickup is a little bit on an angle. On where the bar is, it comes closer to the actual bridge than where the low strings are. So,
wow. Yeah, I kind of see it. Yeah.
Which funny enough is not so it's almost it's really the tremolo is tilted a little, just a little bit, which should really in theory give instability in intonation and all that stuff. It doesn't. and this thing stays in tune. So whatever magic it is, having that off kilter just a little bit, I'm so stoked and happy with this. Sandman, oh yeah, I have that one. Okay, interesting. Menaheim, hi Dave, how are you? Can you tell what packages did you have for the Alan or Josh Smith? Oh, okay, so the packages that we had, we still have the 5 Alan Hines packages. Let's get on the website real quick. So we've had a lot of questions about the website. I'm just getting back into this now. In the last 4 weeks, what I've been diving into is this whole podcast thing. If you notice, we've been improving some things. I got a new lower third thing here to say, hey guys, subscribe and click. That's my new fancy button today. But I had to get this Stream Deck that has all these buttons so I can push them, change our screen so you can see all this stuff, the mic stuff, the sound. So the last 4 weeks, that's what I've been working on. I've got to get back to the website and my Patreon. I want to start a Patreon. I want to do the private lesson thing. I love giving private lessons. I have some openings now if anybody's interested in it. But I literally, I love this talking and being one-on-one more than I love doing the lesson packages. But because those things just take so much time. It's literally 2 months. It's shooting for a couple days, editing, transcribing usually takes a couple of weeks at least, especially how deep I usually go in the transcriptions. So as far as the website, I'm going to spend the next 3 weeks over the holidays getting the website up. Even if it's crappy, everything will be there and you'll have access. You'll have contact information. You can contact me with whatever, and then the purchases will be available. So right now, the lesson packages, we have those 4 lesson packages. We had a masterclass series with Alan Hines, which was a 9 lesson package series. It was major scale modes, melodic minor modes. It was, I think there was a phrasing thing. There was playing over chord changes. There was a rhythm one. There was a gear thing. And out of all those, there was a songwriting one. So we had all these planned. And out of all of them, we did 4. We did the gear, which is a little older at this point, but it's still relevant. I rewatched it the other day, and there's still so much. It's how he hooks his pedals up and does all that. But we're probably going to retouch on that. We've been talking to Alan. He wants to do some more lesson stuff. We have the major scale mode one, which is great. The melodic minor one is the most popular one out of all of them. He really goes into some really cool stuff about phrasing melodic minor and how to use it and when he uses it. There was a diminished one. We filmed the diminished and the rhythm one. And I think when I was talking to Alan the other day, we're going to reshoot those because I think we're going to reshoot both of them. Definitely the rhythm one was almost all done. We had one more shoot we wanted to do, and now it would be so different. So we're just going to redo the whole thing. And what we'll do is we're going to add the old one on as just added content because I transcribed a lot of it already. So whatever, it's just going to be a really long, it'll be a fun 10-year ride with that.
Well, that's good too, because it's going to be that'll be your first video back, right? Like in terms of
that one's going to be that's going to be the first one that we re-record and do a real thing.
Kind of have new stuff as far as content that you're working on now.
Because we do have 2 lesson packages. And then the other one is the blues fusion one, and that was the most popular one that we had with Alan because it's a breakdown of a solo of his that he did at the Baked Potato. That was one of my favorite solos. That's how I initially got in contact with Alan. I said, dude, I got to transcribe this. I want to teach it, but I want you to teach it too. There's so much good stuff. So he taught like an hour worth of information, which was literally, he didn't remember the solo. He'd watch it and he'd go, oh, I remember this stuff. Oh yeah, I do this kind of lick. Oh, I do this. And we'd break down those sections and he'd talk a little about why he played this here, how he plays those. Oh, this is similar to this kind of idea that I teach. And he went through that whole thing. Then I transcribed the whole thing and I did another like 2 hours of lessons talking note by note of that solo, how to play it, how to get the most out of it, whatever. So that's a really long lesson package and it was awesome. Now we have the Josh Smith lesson packages. I think we did 2 of them, a blues fusion and I forget Beyond the Blues or something like that. And both of those really were well received. And we have one more lesson package that we shot, we edited, and it's ready to go. It's just that was when I stopped doing this. and I went and did my 3D adventure with Disney. But it's awesome. It's basically him taking, I think it was 4 of his tunes that are on his records, and he actually plays a whole new solo over the whole thing. So he plays the head and all the melody, but then he just he improvise. And now his improv is so different from what was on the album because he was such a different player after the albums had been out for years. And there were 4 of his more popular tunes that people liked. So that's cool. I'm going to release those. And then the Alan Hines thing that we still have in the bucket, he did something for Jam Track Central that I forget why it didn't actually go through. And it was him soloing over his tunes. And again, just improv, but I don't know if there was video on that, and they're transcribed. And there's another one he did for Guitar Techniques magazine that they don't exist anymore. So Alan was talking, we were saying, hey, we should probably offer those because they were 5 months worth of lessons that were jamming over tracks, lesson material. So we're just going to offer those too. So anyway, be on the lookout for those things. We'll announce it when it comes.
Didn't you have a Matt Schofield package that you did?
No, I was talking to him at NAMM at one point, and then there was an amp show here in Burbank. I forget the guy's name that runs that.
Lonnie.
Yeah, Lonnie. Yep. So he did. I met and through Josh, I met Schofield because they hung out a lot and they were friends. And Kirk Fletcher. So I was talking to him. I think we were at a diner eating or something. I don't know, whatever. And I was talking to him about doing something, and he was interested in it. And again, that's where I just started falling out. There are a couple opportunities. Doug Rappaport, we were going to do something. I still think I can do something with him that's super special. There were a few. Landau, I've talked to him a little bit. Henderson, I've talked to him. Henderson just doesn't want to touch on anything. Like there's one, I want to do this solo Creeping Terror, which is one of my favorite Scott Henderson's got 3 of my favorite chromatic lines. The whole solo from beginning to end, it's a 3-minute, it's almost like the Alan Hines thing. It is incredible. And I want to do a lesson package, but Scott wants nothing. He doesn't like, I even talked about the blues stuff. Well, we can do some stuff talking about because I don't want to talk about the blues album. I got new albums out now. Like he doesn't like revisiting the Chick Corea and the things like that. That was then.
Right.
He's moved. So there's a lot of stuff. We got a couple more comments. I've done the lesson packages. Maina Hine one. If you have any more questions about the lesson packages or something specific, feel free to ask. Sandman, I really don't like the low friction knobs though. You know what? I saw somebody else say that too. I love the low friction knob. Volume knob is so close to the hand and keep turning it down. I think Japanese 125 or something. Might be wrong. Interesting. I got to look into that. The low friction, that's what I like about the Ernie Ball thing. Now the problem with the Ernie Ball, it's really hard to do those Van Halen kind of volume swells because the volume knob has to be here, not here. So it's really, really difficult. Same thing. There's a lot of things with all these, the EVH ones have the switching pot up here, which Eddie ended up having. But in the standards, I think it's right. In the specials, it's wrong. So it's flipped. When it's down, it's the bridge pickup. When it's up, it's the neck. On the other one, it's switched around. And the problem is when you do some of the tapping stuff, the thing's down and now you're in the way of it. Your palm is hitting that knob. So you have to flip that around if you want to do a lot of the tapping stuff. Otherwise, you're going to get knocked into it. Same thing with those low friction knobs. They are, especially on that one that I was showing, it literally is so loose. So you can tighten those up. And I see a lot of people doing different things, putting different knobs in there. But I understand the frustration. They're not perfect guitars by any means. And you're trying to fight multiple battles with having even the switching switch here. I wish that was up here. Because when I go to switch, I got to fight the bar and a volume knob and then get to the switch, which is even further back. So it's not perfect at all. And if this wasn't such a beautiful guitar, I would have it placed over there.
Right.
I'm not going to. I remember Shane Terrio had a 335, an old vintage 335, and it was a lefty. And so then he it plays and sounds beautiful, but then he had to put all the knobs here, and so now he has all these holes up here, and it just looks so silly, dude.
Right.
Truly improved my lead playing at the time. Saying, I'm not sure what that refers to. Truly improved my lead playing at the time.
Maybe the guitar itself.
Yeah, maybe. Great stuff. Thanks, Manahan. So let's move on real quick to the I want to do the creep thing and let's talk a little Tonex real quick. So you got to tell me how you're doing that Tonex. So I downloaded the Brown Sound stuff, the 70, 78, 79 thing. And I was so psyched to do that. I didn't buy it. I did the free trial because I just, you tell me, you don't really buy any of those things and there's enough in there for whatever.
I don't buy that stuff.
Yeah. And I'm thinking the same thing, but it took me a while to figure out how to dial this stuff in. So I was having problems with that. So I kept coming back to that Van Halen thing, not so much because I want the Van Halen sound. It's such a good,
it's a good sound.
Marshall tone.
Right. It's just a good, right. No, 100%. Yeah, but I was surprised because I haven't tried it. So, I'm surprised to hear that you didn't like it.
So I just disappeared just to put a good guitar down. So it's not that I didn't like it. The issue is I found everybody that played through it sounds great. It sounds awesome. For me, I don't know the Tonex software well enough right now. So when I downloaded it, it gives you that free trial. You can't put it on your pedal. So I can't bring it into the editor. So I'm using the Tonex app, not the Tonex editor. And in that, every time I'm plugged in, it's saying that you might have some feedback the way you're plugged in. And I realized that was because I had the monitors in my computer going to the Tonex out. So the input was my Tonex, the output was my Tonex for the headphone. Yeah. But then I had my speaker, they were on mute, but the speaker on my computer was not set to the Tonex. It was set to my speakers for my computer. And I believe that's where the conflict was. So I changed that, and now because I was getting all this weird reverb and echoing and it would just sound, and with the latency, I couldn't judge anything. So I wanted it in my pedal so I could test it, but I couldn't. So then I dialed that in a little bit. Everybody says to use the ASIO portion of the thing or whatever. When I click on that, it doesn't give me any option to have the input or output my Tonex. I don't understand why. So now I can't get that figured. I got it to a point where, I can at least sort of hear the sounds. And then the operation had to be not live. It had to be... what is it called? What's the thing that we plug in to get? I don't know. There's two options on here. Let me see if I can find it. So if I go to my globals, then I go to the general, then I go to operation. Right. You have live or you have interface. Right.
Oh, so, interface. Yeah. That's what I leave. I leave mine on interface.
Really? Even when you play through your amp?
Yeah, because I'm using the app to drive this.
Oh, so you're plugged into your computer and also into
so the way that it is I plugged into the Tonex, then the Tonex goes out to my Katana power amp. So I'm using that as an FRFR. And then and I'm looking, you see my head here. I'm looking at my Tonex.
And I just made the screen bigger just on you.
The USB goes to the computer. Back and forth to the computer. There I see my dopey head. So that's how I'm running it as an interface.
Okay. Are you getting any of that weird, like echoey kind? You're not getting any of that.
Not really, no.
So I don't usually get it. It's just when I downloaded that package, I was getting it almost sounded like there was reverb it sounded like it was reverb on the actual profiles.
But it could be baked in.
But that's the thing. Okay, it might have been baked in because when I went there, the reverb wasn't on, the delay wasn't on, nothing was
No, it's
on.
probably My guess is
So it's baked in.
without trying, it's probably baked in.
That's interesting. So that was surprising. And I couldn't get a good tone. And so then I went back to just the normal patches and I found a nice a boogie and a plexi and a few other things. And then I just started working with that and dialing in. And I could show what some of those sounds like if people are interested. Menaheim said, can you tell us which people you're thinking of creating new? Well, if there's anybody you're interested in hearing lesson packages from us, the way we transcribe and do all that stuff and break things down, let us know.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
I'm always curious, for sure.
Yeah.
But we're definitely looking at Doug Rappaport. He's on my list. Alan's. We've got a couple more we're going to do, like new ones. Landau. I want to dive into that rabbit hole. I wanted to try and get John Paisano a long time ago, jazz guy, but I haven't talked to him because there was a Mexican place that he used to play at all the time in Burbank. And Catalina's, I don't know, but he that's closed. And I don't know. I know he's a lot older, and I think he was maybe having some health issues. But there's a couple. There's also Shane Terrio. I definitely, even though I know he does his own stuff, I want to do a lesson package with him because, like all these guys, there's so many guys that put out these lesson packages that do not ask the questions I want asked. And it's not like I have special awesome questions. It's just there's certain things that people sweep over, and I'm like, dude, this is the thing I heard when he was at music school and he played, and I want to know how you did that. There were,
I would love to see you do one with Shane. Like I said, I know he does have a lot of his own educational content, but I think the way that your approach is would be probably. I tend to think like what you said about Scott, where they're like, I don't want to talk about the past. I only want to talk about what I'm doing now. I also think like that's kind of your brand, though. It's like what's compelling to you, and because usually that's compelling to everybody else. It's like, oh my God, I would love like this. Let's talk about this record. I don't want to. All due respect, I don't necessarily want.
And I understand it. I understand. So also another guy, my buddy's best friends with Michael Thompson, MT. And he's recorded on everything. He's such a cool dude, and he's got a lot of that, laying chords underneath things and really building up. I want to do a session thing with him, a lesson package on how, if you got a track, how you would make it better, how you would, really add not just what is needed for the mix and what is needed for the song, but also the creative things that you do that make it a Michael Thompson kind of thing, because he has some unique things that he does.
That would be a great package.
So I think that would be really, really fun. There's a couple guys, but let us know if there's anybody that you guys are looking at. Let me real quick go through these tone patches that I have really quickly. So this is the one I've been using a lot, which is the Soldano. I just locked into this early on, and this one, it sounds great for chords. Right? It's just very simple. But you can hear, and the dialing off sounds good, and then when you really punch into it, right? Right. I mean, it gets those articulations and and I always play that. I love that 5150 tune because it's so punchy, and I mean, that's totally muted right there. If you open it up, it blooms. And that's how I test a lot of these things. I need that articulation. I can't just have overwhelming gain. So now another one, I have two settings of that. Now, if I go to these are more of my, I think this is my Mesa Boogie one. Right, so. And if I do the other. Now, that doesn't get, it's a little too gainy, But what's cool about it, it's got this boxier sound. I think I'm using a different 412 in this, which I think it's a clean, it might even be a Fender 412. And if I mute it right, you can hear that boxiness. Like you hear that like it's thick. It's almost like there's one speaker in a big cabinet and it's echoing in that cabinet, right? Then I've got this matchless one, which is more of a just straight, really flat, no reverb room kind of thing.
I like that out of the three. I like that. That to me is my.
That's the way you would set it up. Yeah.
I like a clean and drier sound.
Yep. See, that to me is really hard. So what I have to do is what I discussed earlier. A lot of times for that, I have to pull these things off my ears because it's too harsh. Yeah. But what this gets you, it gets that real, like you can get those individual notes where if I go back to that other one and I go,
too mushy.
It just mushes all those notes together, right?
Yeah.
So then the other one I have is this perfect, which this I love. This is a perfect Marshall, and this I used a 212 cab on it. Everything was sounding, but I used this one, I forget, Octa something 212, and this is where I'm saying how it changed everything. It was sounding great, and I was going through the cabinet list afterwards, and I found this cab that did something special. It just opened it up in a weird way, but then I had to go back, and I literally had to go back and change all my EQ settings. And this is the one where I think I dropped the treble all the way down. But it really gives you that. It gives you all those notes.
Yeah.
And it really, especially when you have it all dialed up. Menaheim said merciless, dude. I love that song. Such a great. I love that.
The rhythm. I love that riff, man. I was just actually playing. It's so funny you played that because I was just playing that this morning too.
Oh, that's funny, dude. I love that solo. I forget how that solo. That solo is great. I love that one. What is the?
Wind me up.
So, dude, so good. The Paul Gilbert stuff is something that I do, especially when I'm testing this stuff out. I love that one solo that had it. But what's great about that solo is especially that punchy part. That's where you hear that boxiness of those notes. Now, if I do that with the matchless or the see, that sounds a little thin and way too distorted. If I go to that Soldano, this really, I think, shines. You could hear all those notes in that.
I like both of them. That's the problem.
What's that?
I like both of them.
Yeah, I mean, they all have their place, and that's what I'm saying. There's so many things. So I like to just turn one on, not go near the pedal, and just explore with it. The other night I had that clean tone on, and I literally, here are my clean tones, and that'll be the end of this. This clean tone, man, it was just so beautiful. And there was a piece that I had recorded, and I probably shouldn't play this. Somebody will steal it maybe. But this is the beginning of it. But then I get into this whole how did I go? These chords that are very Holdsworthy, you know, whatever. But there's this. I literally was just sitting there, and it was late at night or early morning, 3 in the morning, and I was just doing all these things, and then I just started doing, and that just sounds so beautiful. And even here, this little part, that instead of running up and down that, I went. I switched some notes around somewhere or whatever, and it just sounded really neat. But you get lost in this swarm of things. And the same thing with the clean tone. So I have 3 patches and blah, blah, blah. So that's some of my Tonex stuff. But the problem I was having was, again, some of it starts, eventually you get ear fatigue, right? Especially if you're using headphones. And you start hearing the digital nature of this. And you hear that very, very punchy. Every note is very punchy at times. That's why I need to bring the reverb and the delay in there. Otherwise, man, I will get fatigued quickly on this digital stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I use, like I said, I just push it to the katana. And so I'm not hearing it like the same way you're hearing it. So I can kind of last a little bit longer. But no, I get it.
Hey, now. And for that, we need a donation. My guy's lasting longer. So what did you do? Sounds good. Merciless. Paul Gilbert plays, create rhythm parts that sound so good and so many, dude. And his little solos. I mean, his little arpeggio. Yeah, there's so much about Paul that is absolutely. I didn't reckon this song. What's the name? Not sure. What one is Merciless. One was Had Enough. The other was it was off the first album. All those were off the first album. But yeah, Sandman says, I am so far into Fractal and Kemper for a while, I didn't have time to check out Tonex stuff since my Matrix PA died. I've recently switched to Fryette LX2. What is that? PA, feeding stereo cabs. Sounds great in the room. Anything stereo cab sounds great. So you were about to check out the Helix, I think, for Christmas, right? Or no, it was...
well, I was looking at the Fractal.
Right.
The new Fractal, and also the Kemper Profiler. So
have you decided on one?
I think I'm going to do the Kemper Profiler. Because they're also more a little available with the new Kemper. The new Fractal. It's like a little bit of a back weight. So I was just like, I'll try that first, and then I'm also gonna get that little Vailton GP5 pedal.
Oh, right, that's great. Sandman, real quick, guys, appreciate you guys sticking around watching this stuff. Like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Really helps us out. But let us know the Fractal and Kemper, what your opinion is on that, since you said you've been using it for quite a while. I'm sure Steve would appreciate any thoughts before he dives into that rabbit. Because again, I assume that's the same thing as Tonex, maybe not so much as complicated with the software, but it's probably a deep dive. Once you choose one, you have to spend. It's funny, you only have, like, on some of these things, Guitar Center, bless them for giving you a 45 day policy. But even that, I mean, and these Tonex things, like, I think it's so stupid that they give you 30 minutes or something to review this stuff. Dude, it took me 30 minutes just to figure out why I was getting an echo. I really didn't even get to play through the stuff. They got to give you a couple days at least. But even this, 30 days for figuring out, you get a Kemper or something like that, and then the first 3 days you don't really use it. You're busy after the holidays, then you dive into it, and then you have to get back to work. And so now 2 weeks go by, you don't get to explore. And then finally you get into it, and there's hiccups with just the technology, then the software, then you're finally, I mean, you need at least 2 months to decide if you want to keep something, especially when it's a big investment. Like, I can imagine, like, the Fractals, $3,000 here and there. It's like, dude, I need to borrow one or rent one before I make that purchase.
Yeah. Well, I think too is like, you're right. But I do think that by 45 days, you should be able to ascertain if you can get, something out of it.
Right.
But I do get it, because it's a big, you know, and look, any piece of gear that you're gonna drop a lot of money on it, and it's all relative to everybody uniquely. But I mean, I think that's the one thing. I think 45 days is fair. But I get it. I mean, where like, that's why I prefer to buy from like a Sweetwater or from Guitar Center, because if I buy from Reverb, you get like 3 days, and you're like, how, so I don't buy from,
Well, I love the guys that buy multiple things, and like they'll buy 2 pedals and a guitar and then something else, and you're like, dude, that's overwhelming on just a couple days. I need one thing at a time to really, especially because a lot of these things, like I said, even that Ernie Ball, I love it. I never realized that the trem was offset. Had I known that, maybe I would have researched it a little more if there were any other versions of that guitar that I liked, because so you sometimes you don't even discover certain things that are wrong with something in a certain period of time. But like this Tonex, man, that software, I've dialed it in to the point where I've gotten better at it. And like I said, I when I start these tones, I'll say it real quickly again if anybody didn't hear it or whatever, but like literally I will start with the find an amp that I like. I'll go through the presets and go, nah, this is okay. You know what? That's interesting. It's way too okay. Now I'll go and change the trebles, the delay, or no, the trebles, the bass, the mids, and they have all those other EQ settings right next to that, the Q and the whatever. And so I'll adjust that, and it really does make a difference. And I'll dial it in, and a lot of times I'll have to turn the treble all the way up and adjust the Q and the other thing to really see what that's doing. Okay, that's warming that up, that's taking that. Okay, then I'll dial down the treble to where I need it to be. Then I'll do that with the bass and the whatever, then the presence. And once I get all that locked into a decent place, I start getting that ear fatigue because there's no reverb or delay on it. And then I'm like, okay, now I got to throw something to soften this up. Once I throw that first thing, the reverb, to open up a room, everything becomes glorious. And I already spent time on all the other settings, and I'm like, okay, well, now it's doing this. I can dial in a little more treble because that reverb is already softening things. And you need treble. I mean, you just need certain things. You can't just dial everything to 0 most of the times. Yeah. Although I saw with the Van Halen packs, a lot of the treble and presence was down to like 1.
Yeah.
I mean, he had it dialed way off.
And I think you need presence for that tone.
Right.
If anything, I think
so it was interesting. So then once I do that and I get a little delay, and I don't always want delay because I don't want to, especially if I'm doing single note thing, I don't want to be fighting with the notes. It sounds great and glorious in stadium, but I don't always need that. So then I usually don't get into I experiment with the pre and post on those, because the old Marshalls or any amps that didn't have effects loops, Van Halen, they would put those effects pre, because it was going right into the face of it. But then the worst part for me that I'm discovering is I do that for a half hour, and then I dive into the cabs, and now there's a whole list of 212s, 112s, 410s. I mean, it's a lot, and they all make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think the thing that you have to be careful of is to not spend more than like 10 minutes on it, because you're just going to spend like your whole practice time doing that.
That's the thing. I can't. I literally, each one of those presets, I spent about a half hour to 40 minutes on, and I'm glad I did, because if I stopped, I wouldn't have gotten to the point where I'm really satisfied with some of those.
Right.
So I had to go through each one of those, not each one, but I was like, okay, I don't want such a big 412. I want to try the 212. The 112s weren't working. It was too punchy. And then on some of them, and then I got this one 212 cab that I liked. And then there were 2 others that I liked. So I was A-B'ing them, but they don't have a good A-B system. So you have to literally go back to the thing, find the 212, go back down to that cabinet and put that. Okay, that's good. Now, if I want to load the other cabinet, I have to go back, go through the whole thing. And you can't just A-B the cabinets, which is, I think, a fail on the software, because in testing it, you forget what it sounds like while you go through this whole list. Yeah. And if you click the wrong one, now you have to go back, and you really forgot what it sounds like. Right. So I'm going through all. Then when I finally lock in a cabinet, I realized, man, that sounds great. It opened it up. It did a certain thing. But now I need to dial back in some of the bass is a little too boomy for this cabinet. So I have to pull that out. And so you go through all these things. And then you're, like I said, 45 minutes down the line, then you do have to pull back. I mean, there is a time where you just have to pull back, go play a little, and see if it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I love it, dude. I'm so glad you introduced me to this, because I was not, when I knew I needed something to go direct into here instead of, like I say all the time, all the fails I was having with the cables in my pedal board.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's
I
just
think
too much.
the
So
Tonex is great. I think,
Yep.
you know, and it like I've said a million times about it, the user interface sucks. It just sucks. It's,
Okay.
you know, it takes a lot of time to figure it out. But when you figure it out, you sit there and you go, really? This is $400? I'm getting this for $400?
right, dude, that's amazing.
I mean,
It is, and the fact that I downloaded that Brown Sound pack and I was so excited for it, and then when I couldn't get it to really work, I'm still going to explore it. I still like it enough, but
yeah,
what was great was it forced me to go, you know what? There's plenty of Marshalls in here. There's plenty of these things. If I just take some time and dial this in, I could find something that sounds good. And I found something that works kind of like what they had. Not exactly, but good enough.
right.
So anyway, listen, we're over 2 hours. Let me wrap up with two things real quick. One, let me do our little sponsor that we have to do, because we didn't do that today. They put this at the end. So the booze of the day is called Metaxa, and I think it's a Greek brandy. My buddy just came over.
It is a Greek brand.
Oh, this is my guy, dude. Do you know this brand?
Yes.
Okay, you need to tell me, because my buddy,
I don't know that much about it. I just know from working in the liquor business.
Okay. So I'd never seen this, and he brought this over for Christmas break. He's like, I'm stopping by, giving you something. And I'm like, dude. So we spent a little time, and he pulls this out, and this is a 7-year or 7-star one. They have 5-star ones, 5-year, whatever it is. And his wife is from Turkey, so he goes over there and he found these liquors that are from there. You can't really get them over here, and I don't need. They're cloudy. You pour them in, and I think you pour a little water, and it clouds up. I don't know, and they're unbelievable, dude. It's minty. There's something about it, and you're shaking your head. You know this. What is that? Do you know what it is?
No, I don't. I mean, it's just funny because, you know, like I've had some spirits from the Middle East, like as far as Turkey, and my wife's Armenian, so I've had Armenian.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've had an Armenian brandy, and it's definitely different. You know what I mean? Like the way that everything is aged, and you're right. You said that it's almost kind of like a little more like syrupy. That tends to be like Middle Eastern,
and the characteristics tend to be a little more in your face a lot of times. What's really interesting about this is that it is a brandy that is literally, and anybody who's interested in alcohol, let me know. This is one of those things I'm so passionate about. I love just sipping little flavors, things that stay there and give you different effects. Like you get taste, and then it goes down, then it comes back, and it has a little bit. You're like, wow, wait a second, that's still there. Now I'm getting cherry flavors. Well, this brandy has it. It is so smooth. My buddy even said, dude, you will get in trouble with this. Like, this is something that you'll drink and you won't realize how much you drank, because it's so easy. And it has this warm, almost like an almondy flavor, just slight, very, very slight. And then it sticks with you. And then what comes on the tail end is a little bit of cherry, but it's like a dark black cherry that's not really sweet. And dude, it's just absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to pour myself a drink. Happy holidays, everybody. We're going to talk about one more quick thing. And if Steve wants to mention anything, cheers, salute.
Yep. No, I think at this point, I don't know if we're going to talk about next week's show. Is that kind of what you were going to talk about?
No, but if there's something next week you want to talk about, but I want to talk that creep solo that I did. That
right, and yeah. So let's talk about that, and then we'll close with what I want to close with.
And this is really, really quick. And anybody that's still sticking around, if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, let us know. If there's anything in future podcasts you want us to discuss, let us know. If you have any questions about website stuff and all that, like I said, it's going to be up in January, but please do hit me up on YouTube. You can contact me on these videos. You can just write in the comments after the videos. I will get back to it. Our Facebook page, Guitar Breakdown. If you want to click on that, I think the link is on my YouTube page somewhere to get to that. And you can always hit me up there on Facebook, and I will get to you. So the real quick thing I want to just do, last week, if anybody watched that podcast, we were talking about a little about Vito Bratta. And So Steve, you can tell the story a little bit.
Well, yeah. So we were going over. Dave was playing Radiohead's "Creep," and it's so funny. It was a week ago, and I already forgot the context of what we were talking about. But you were you were playing that, and
we were talking about chords.
Triads, right?
Triads.
Triads. Yep. Yes. Sorry, it took me a second. I'm a little old and I'm a little tired. But yeah, it was triads. And so when we happened to be talking about Vito Bratta, you had hit something, and it was just like, I go like, you should play that Radiohead "Creep" in the style if Vito Bratta was playing the solo. And then so we get done with the podcast. Literally the next morning, my wife and I are down here at like 7 a.m. Dave's out in California. I'm in New Jersey. And I'm like, I get an instant message, and I'm like, what is he? He should be sleeping. It's 4 o'clock. He records that "Creep" from Radiohead, but he also has the solo in as if Vito Bratta did it. And my wife and I were just like laughing. It was so good. I was like, what a maniac.
So it was funny because I was like, I want to, and this is when I was trying to hook up the Tonex. I was like, I haven't recorded something for so long, and I could not get the Tonex to work with my audio interface. It was just latency, echoey, all this kind of stuff. My buddy upstairs, I think I mentioned this, he came down, he solved it. And his solve was basically with that latency, even as low as you can get latency, you're still going to have that unless you have really high-end interfaces that you're using. There's some other box that you can use that almost eliminates latency. But what you can do is you can get the output of the backing track that you're playing over to go through your speakers, then get the output, or then you can use the pedal as just the output of that. So you're listening to the pedal in the headphones. Then you just pull the headphones a little off. Now you're hearing the perfect timing of that and the pedal. There's no latency whatsoever, and the recording's happening in real time. So, but if you were recording in real time, getting the playback to come push back through your headphones, you'd have that latency of your guitar and the whatever. So it's just a stupid little cheater. So when I figured that out, then he was hanging out and we were having a drink. I'm not an alcoholic. You're an alcoholic. So then we were chatting and whatever. Finally, he went upstairs. He went to his place around 3 in the morning. He stays up till like 6, 7 in the morning. And then So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to record this. I want to record something. So then I was like, I'm going to do the Creep thing. And so it's nothing special, but it is very, very Vito Bratta. It's basically based off of that Little Fighter. It's got a little bit of tapping in it, which is it's in Little Fighter, but it was also in Wait, that solo where he taps up and down or whatever. So it's silly. I will screen share, even though let me see if I can. Yeah, you don't really need to see the screen share or whatever. That's my old cat. Look at that cat. Okay, so this is the tune. Where is it? Okay. Is that volume okay?
Aww.
Okay, so the solo comes in like at 1 minute. There it is.
You can go up a little bit.
It's so goofy. But it worked, and it was literally, so it's literally just, I'll play it one more time. It's literally arpeggios. Let me get to, okay, we're almost there. Whatever. So it's literally just that arpeggio sequence where he really pops out the chord arpeggios. Then it's, and it ends on the little, octaves that you're strumming up and down. And I think that was in Little Fighter. I think he did an octave kind of thing in there. Then the tapping thing, Even the pivot note. The pivot note was a little fighter thing. There was one point where he gets to a da 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 pivoting off of notes. But here's the last time. Okay, one more time. And the little scrape at the beginning I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Even those octaves remind me of like something Bon Jovi would do or something. But what was cool about that too, what I thought, I mean, it was, again, not perfect. It was like, I think I came up with the solo 2 different ways, and then I recorded it 3 times, and it was, just within a short period of time. But what I really was liking about it was that was the Tonex pedal direct with that Soldano preset. It really worked. It punched enough where it stuck out, and it allowed single note articulation and everything else, and it didn't get muddy.
It sounded good. I mean, everything about it was fun. It was good.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. So, anything else you got, Steve? Or we?
I was gonna say, because you're gonna be traveling this week, we are going to be pre-recording the show this weekend at some point. So we're gonna have some new content for everybody next week, but it won't be live. We will be Dave will be traveling. I think we're also going to be are we going to be live when you're in New Jersey?
I think we're going to try and do a live thing. Also, I am going to pre-record a couple actual lessons that are going to be on the regular YouTube channel, the full form video instead of the live section. So I'm going to do a few of those. I'm going to try and whip out that Van Halen one that I thought was so cool. The playing multiple ways of a Van Halen thing that it's transcribed back in the day wrong, and not the way Eddie would play it, but it's the way I initially learned it. And then when I learned it the real way, it's just fascinating, that little jaunt. So I'm going to do that. That's going to be a quick lesson. I'm also going to do 1 or 2 other real quick lessons, pop those up. So we'll have plenty of content when I'm away. That second week that I'm not here, that's when I think I'm going to try and do a live thing, even if, it's going to be the Christmas holiday. So even if Steve's not around, I'm just going to try and do, I think next week we're going to upload a pre-recorded live, and which we're going to do Sunday, and then probably be an hour, won't be hugely long, and then we're going to do the next week I may just do one. I'm going to be staying at my brother's place, and I may just do something live there for half hour or something, see how everybody's doing, if anybody wants to check in, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and we're gonna try and even hook up while you're in New Jersey and do something. Maybe grab a slice, or maybe maybe go to a guitar
shopping.
It's gonna be a little tight, obviously, because Dave's got his vacation time here. So he's gonna be with his family, but we're gonna try and sneak away and hang out for maybe a couple hours and record some of that. We haven't been in the same room in over 30 years at this point. It's
I think
pretty
we had
crazy.
A restraining order. I think there was a 500-foot thing or something. Dude, honestly, we're climbing on 2.5 hours, which we're getting longer. Soon we're just going to do a 24-hour one. We should do that in New Year's.
We'll start at 12 to 6. Yeah, let's see how that goes.
Everybody, thank you so much for sticking around and watching this stuff. Thank you for all the comments and the questions. I love talking to you all. Hope everybody's having a great holiday. Really, and I don't say that lightly. I really enjoy this interaction. That's my favorite part of this. I love giving private lessons. I love doing these kind of live things where I want to do more interaction, where Steve gets there involved with some of the guitar stuff, and we trade stuff back and forth, licks. The whole one thing I want to do so badly is I want you to show me what you're learning this week. I show you, and while you're showing me, I'm trying to figure out back and forth. And it's like 2 dudes just sitting in a room, like, look what I learned, look what I learned. And then anybody in the comments, I really want to get to a point where, you guys really let us know what you guys are interested in, what you want us to show you, if there's anything you want us to transcribe and really dive into. That interaction, the back and forth is so much better than sitting at a computer editing and then uploading, then editing, then, Anyway, that's all I got. So, Steve, have a great weekend. I'm sure we'll talk the next couple of days. Everybody else, have a fun beginning to the holiday. It's coming quickly. Cherish every moment, like Steve and I were talking about early. It goes quickly, and things can change on a dime, and you don't want to regret. So take the time, enjoy, put aside the things that are really just clogging up your life that you think are important, because in the real grand scheme of things, if you sat on the moon and looked down at this planet spinning around, this sounds goofy, but it's just spinning. Nothing's happening. None of that important stuff matters. We are all in this thing, and it's just the things we make important sometimes aren't. So make the things that really are important to you, that you really care about, make those things important. Have fun holiday. All right, peace out, everybody. How do I stop this thing?